Uh, I've already answered the question. Why exactly did you click on this video? Look, this question has this specific answer. Is this not enough? All right, I get it. You probably want an explanation as to why this is the case. Hey everyone. Okay, so many of you probably already know and have watched the live stream, but we are going to be able to get some copies of 5-star characters that we already own, which are within this list, and one of these characters is Ayato. With the current state of the game, Ayato is often one of the more forgotten about units in the game. For example, in my case specifically, until this video, I had not used him in like over a year, and it reminded me why this was the case. Even with the release of great supports for him, like Escoffier and even Farina when she came out like some time ago, Ayato's gameplay feels a bit meh. Like his main source of damage, which is his skill, E-skill, it doesn't do a lot of damage to be honest. Like I do find his burst interesting, but that's more of like a hydro applicator than a damage dealer. At the end of the day, if you have very strong builds for like characters such as Novelet, Moalani, Nilu, why would you want to use these great supports for Ayato under any circumstances if they are much stronger and arguably more fun to play with? I do not have any of these units that I just mentioned, but I do know that this is the case for many people's accounts. To make it easier to visualize, on average, Ayato with his E skill, he managed to do a total of 15 slashes. As you can see in the gameplay behind me, on the best case scenario in Stage and Onslaught and in also Spyro Abyss, he is doing like at best 40k for each of his slashes once I manage to get down his correct rotations. You might think that this is good, as it amounts to around 600k damage for his rotations. But now, what if I tell you that in both Stage and Onslaught and in the Spyro Abyss, during this gameplay, the team consists of a C6 R1 Silali, a C2 R1 Escoffier, and a C0 R1 Farina? Would it still make you think that this is good enough damage-wise? Like, I know that this is not the same teams and they are totally different characters, but my C4 Gaming in the video that I done about him during the Spyro Abyss at the time, also utilizing my C6 Lali, C6 Bennett, and my C2 Kazuha, he was able to easily do 1 mil plus damage in the correct rotations. And many people consider Gaming C6 to be by far his best constellation, which I didn't even have. Okay, now moving on to Ayato's Constellation, as obviously, if you get him from the free 5-star selector, you can only do so if you already have him, so you will be getting constellations of him. For me, the only notable constellation that considerably increases his damage would be his C6. Even today, to today's standards of the game, his C6 is not really anything noteworthy, but it does provide itself useful as it gives 2 extra slashes at the beginning of his rotation from his E skill, and these scale at a 450% of Ayato's attack, which is pretty good. I personally think that his C1 and his C4 are pretty useless as they provide little to no improvement to Ayato, especially his C4, which increases his party members' normal attack percentage by 15% for 15 seconds after he uses his skill. So this makes him more of a support than actually improving his attack capabilities. His C1 increases his E skills damage by 40% for against opponents under 50% HP, which if they're under 50% HP, they're already close to like dead. So you don't really get much use out of this as well. Then his C2 and C3, I would say are actually okay constellations. They both increase his damage by around 10%, maybe pushing 15%. But for today's standards of these types of constellations of C2 and C3, they're just not good enough at the same time. So comparing to his literal sister in the game, Ayaka, who also released before him, her C2 and C3 increase her damage more than double compared to his constellations. So they improve her damage by like around 20 to 30% just from her C2, and then another like 15-ish% from her C3. Okay, so I also wanted to include this section. The reason for this is because if you're considering pulling a character like Ayato, then it is because you mainly want to get characters that you like for one reason or the other, without caring too much about it being meta or if they are strong or not, and this is perfectly fine. For Ayato, when you actually manage to get the correct rotations for him, and I found out that, especially in freeze teams, when you manage to freeze your opponents, this is when Ayato is most fun for me. Unfortunately, one of the biggest letdowns for me is his burst, because his animation is actually very aesthetically pleasing, but in game, it only really provides Hydra application. It does not do enough damage that at some points it's most likely better damage-wise to actually not use his burst, which is unfortunate because it's actually a waste of a really cool burst. But yeah, when opponents are frozen, using his skill continuously without moving, it actually felt pretty fun for me when I was recording the footage of this video. Hopefully this video didn't come off as like a hating session towards Ayato. Like I actually do like him and that's why I pulled for him in the first place. But if it did, it is mainly because of the disappointment of what his character has become. Like even during the actual story of the game, we have not seen him properly for years at this point. And his kit has just been forgotten about and like many people have moved on to different characters, which is unfortunate. If you are considering going for him, firstly let me say that what I say in this video is mainly from a meta perspective. So if you are pulling for him because you really like him and his kit, and you want to get constellations for him, then go ahead and enjoy him. You'll have fun going with that choice, and please do that for all your characters. Don't pull just because the character is strong or not. At the end of the day, this is a game to enjoy. But either way, hope this video was interesting and informative to you. And as always, thank you very much for sticking to the end, and I do hope that you enjoyed this video. So yeah, thank you very much. See ya.